back everyone to the Pokemon Regional Championships here in Perth, Western Australia. My name is Daniel Collins and it is with great pleasure I get to bring you this top 4 match between Christian Hasbani and Meng Hon Chow. Now before we get down to the table and check out all the action in this top 4 matchup, we are going to bring the deck list for these two players up on screen so we can take a look. There they are up on screen. As you can see, Christian Hasbani is piloting the ADP Zacian deck, a very popular deck recently. Even in this tournament, it has filled out 6 of the top 8 spots, 11 of the top 16, with 19 out of 59 players piloting ADP. Christian's list, pretty standard in terms of Pokemon, except for that Coragano. You see that Coragano from Unified Minds there at the bottom of his Pokemon lineup? If you don't know what Coragano does, it has the attack Frozen Lock. For a singular water energy, it does 10 damage and your opponent cannot play any items on his or her next turn. So kind of reminiscent of Seismitoad EX, but that item lock are going to be very powerful because as you can see, Meng is playing Baby Blacephalon, a very item heavy deck, a very item reliant deck, needing to use those fire crystals to recycle fire energy along with those energy retrievals, along with those fiery flints to go get all the fire energy to make sure he has enough energy in hand to be able to use that Fireball Circus attack on Baby Blacephalon for knockouts and taking those prizes to win the game. As we move on into trainers, you can see Christian Hasbani is running 4 custom catchers and 3 Pokemon catchers. Pretty much the max catcher count along with the 1 great catcher. He's playing the Energy Spinner version. Obviously, we've moved away from the Tag Call variant of ADP List Pass and we've moved into Energy Spinner Basic Energy. I think it's become widely accepted that that's the best way to run ADP nowadays. But something very interesting in Christian's list, the Big Charm. He chose to run 2 Big Charm, obviously adding 30 HP to whichever Pokemon it is attached to. A little bit different than, like, say, Metal Frying Pan, which we've seen in ADP list previously. It can only be attached to Metal Pokemon, reducing damage by 30. So you can see this Big Charm attached to something like the Coragano to make it last longer, force your opponent to have more damage to knock it out. Making your ADP have 310 health, which is just ridiculous for a tag team. So if you want to claim those 3 prizes off ADP, Christian is definitely going to make you work for it. So definitely a different inclusion. And then the standard 8-2 energy split between metal and water. As we move across to Meng's list, this list very reminiscent, if not almost identical to Stefan Ivanov's top 8 list from Malmö Regionals in Sweden. The only change I can notice is he's cut a Jirachi for the Tapu Fini, the baby Tapu Fini, that if your opponent has any Ultra Beasts in play, its attack cost is reduced to 1 colorless. For that 1 colorless, it does 100 damage. Being a water type, it is designed for the mirror match, the Baby Blacephalon mirror, where it can knock out due to weakness a Baby Blacephalon without having to trade your own Baby Blacephalon. It saves you resources having to discard fire energy to take that mirror. Otherwise, it is a card for card list besides that 1 change for Stefan Ivanov's. Playing things like the Ultra Forest Carton Boy for the Obstagoon. There was only 1 Obstagoon in the entire field here at Perth today. But other than that, seems like a pretty standard Baby Cephalon list. There's not much in there that's going to be much different. But yeah, maybe we'll see if that Coragano is going to come out and do a lot of damage to Meng's deck. That is exactly how I would expect it to play out. It is a card that is included by Christian to help out with this exact matchup. But hey, we'll get on down to the tables and let's see how it goes. So we'll cross over now to the game and let's get into it, guys. Well, we say let's get into it, and it seems like the players have already got into it. We are a little bit late here. It seems as though Christian has gone first, opening up that Jirachi, Zacian, and ADP. Probably manually attaching that water energy to ADP. There's no other way it's getting there. And that Metal Saucer onto Zacian. A perfect opener for ADP. And unfortunately, it looks like Meng has opened Fion. Almost wanted to say Manaphy there. Fion. Get the fiery flint off. Little bit of camera adjustment there. Always good to make sure we get that perfect angle for you guys viewing at home. But he gets that firing flint off. Always good to thin your deck first turn. A deck like Baby Blacephalon that plays so much fire energy, it is very important to get those out so you have a better chance of drawing Welder. It is your only way to traditionally draw without any conditions outside of, say, maybe Heat Factory, but it's more than likely if you have Heat Factory. You've probably got the fire energy in your hand, and he just drops Tapu Fini and passes. Very, very rough first turn for Meng there. Moving over to Christian, Stellar Wishes instantly grabs that Pokemon catcher. See if he can drag up that Tapu Fini if he chooses to play that. But drops some Metal on ADP, drops Absol, drops Big Charm on ADP, and hits the switch for the turn 2 GX attack coming in here. Flips that Shadow Triad GX marker and goes, thank you very much. I'll have 30 extra damage and take an extra prize every time I take a knockout. We get that we see that Welder from Meng onto Tapu Fini, drawing 3 cards. Doesn't look like he drew much off the Welder. Looks like he might still be in a world of trouble here. Drops another Fiery Flint for 4 more energy. Let's see what else he does here. Can he get anything else down? Has he got a quick ball? Do you draw a quick ball? Can he get his board going here? Is this where it's going to be a really rough start? Baby Blacephalon can have this kind of issue where it just draws a handful of fire energy or a handful of items that get you fire energy, which is basically the same thing. Ooh, that rough attach to Tapu Fini and passes. The simple touch from Christian to make sure he can attack with ADP. Thinking about the money, he knows Meng's hand is really bad here, so I don't think there's any need to disrupt it with the money. He just takes a simple attack with ADP there, knocking out the Fion. And gets the triple attach, 1 to the Jirachi. Ooh, and Meng extends the hand, scooping game 1. And look at that hand. Literally, like I said, full of fire energy and ways to get fire energy. Energy retrieval. I think there was a switch in there. Just scoops it up. He knows when he's already behind and not going to pass on that game. So, moving on to game 2. Seems as though we've had very, very rough game 1s for some of our players. So, while they're shuffling up, we will get into game 2 here while they're shuffling up. We'll talk about a little bit more, seeing as we were so rushed for game 1. But, yeah, so we'll get to see this matchup, like I said, in the going over the deck list, whether Cryogonal is going to play a big part. We didn't see it game 1, so Christian didn't have to show it, so we're not sure if Meng is aware that Christian plays it at all. He didn't have to show off that tech, so there may be a position in here where Meng may overextend, go ahead, get punished by that Cryogonal. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But just do a little shout out to the Shadow Triad GX marker there for Christian. He is part of Team Shadow Triad with Karen Kwan and Brent Tonneson. So if we want to go follow those guys on Twitter, I'm pretty sure they also have a Facebook page. Go check those guys out. 3 of the best in Australia in terms of players. So if you want some more Australian content, some articles, definitely go follow those guys. But hopefully Meng in this game too can get off to at least set up, right? Like we hope that he starts, opens Jirachi, has a Welder, can get a Blacephalon, can actually get up and going and make a good game of it here. There's nothing more frustrating than making it into like top 8, top 4 even, and your deck just fails. It just fails on you. We've seen it from a lot of top players in the past where they get to top 4, top 8, even the finals sometimes, and your deck is just like, nah, you know what? I've played enough games today. I don't know if you've played enough games today, but I've definitely played enough games today. So I'm just going to chill out. But we set up here for game 2. Both open Jirachi, a very good start for both players here. Definitely a preferred starter with that Stellar Wish ability. Letting you look at the top 5 of your top 5 cards of your deck. Grabbing a trainer you find there and putting it into your hand. Meng dropping that quick ball. Discarding a fire energy. It tends to be the thing that you do discard a lot in this deck. Obviously, you have multiple ways of getting it back with Fire Crystal and Energy Retrieval, but he does Quick Ball for that Blacephalon, so a lot better start for Meng this game. Opens Jirachi, gets Blacephalon, gets the Stellar Wish off. Let's see what he grabs from the Stellar Wish. Seems like he's got a bit of a decision to make. See what he grabs here. He's got one card selected. What's it going to be? Come on, don't slow roll us, Meng. Don't slow roll us. It is another quick ball. And is he going to play it? Is he looking for a card, working out what card? Nope, they're not going to play it. So you would think if he's going to play the quick ball, he probably just instantly plays it there, discards whatever card he's going to discard for quick ball, and goes back in and searches for the Pokemon he wants to grab. But it seems as though he may have something else on his mind. Now we can't quite see what his hand is, so we'll see what Meng has in store. Give him that deck a good shuffle, making sure sufficient randomization is happening. Fiery, ooh, what is that bottom card? Must be Fiery Flint's the only card that would discard 2 in the deck. Seeing as Meng doesn't play like Great Catcher or anything like that. So Fiery Flint grabbing that 4 fire energy. A lot better opening turn here from Meng. See if he's got a welder to go with that all that fire energy. Nope, just the manual touch and the pass. No, we're missing the sleep flip. I'm sure they'll get to that sleep flip here. But instant Stellar Wish from Christian here. Grabs that money. Now money obviously really effective into something like Blacephalon. That if you do Fiery Flint for all that fire energy, well, there's no better place for that fire energy to be than on the bottom of your deck. On the bottom of your opponent's deck if you are playing against Baby Blacephalon. That is exactly where you want it. It's all their damage source. So he drops Stace in, plays the money, putting all that fire energy freshly grabbed back on the bottom of Meng's deck. There's that sleep flip coming in. Pokemon Catcher, try and get that Blacephalon in the active. Make it harder for Meng to draw out of the money by not having that Jirachi in the active. But Christian dropping down that fresh to Dene, discarding Switch Metal Professor's Research. Grabs that Cherish Ball, getting that ADP. Now, he still hasn't got an energy here. Now, like I said in the top 8 game, I compare ADP a lot to Virizion and Genesect, where your first turn is, I want to attach an energy to my Pokemon that has a 2 energy attack that sets up the rest of my deck. Well, you know what? Virizion had a 2 energy attack that set up the rest of your deck. ADP has a 2 energy, well, it has a 1 energy GX, but we all know we want 2 energy on that to get the extra effect. And ADP is exactly the same. If you touch that water energy or even the metal first turn, you are looking pretty. Now, we still haven't seen that from Christian yet. He plays the custom catcher. Plays that custom catcher, look for 3, and then Intrepid Swords. Ooh, and got the energy off the Intrepid Sword. Now we see Stellar Wish from Meng. See if he gets out. See if he can get out of this money. Now, I don't know how bad his money draw was. He's got 4 cards plus the Stellar Wish because Christian obviously couldn't get it out of the active. Finds an Ultra Space off the Stellar Wish. Gonna let him thin that deck 1 more card. Baby Blacephalon is something where you definitely want to thin your deck as, like, okay, most decks you want to thin your deck as much as you can, but Baby Blacephalon very much so, where you just want to have either fire energy, ways to accelerate fire energy, or ways to get fire energy back in your hand. They're literally like all you want in your deck. So obviously thinning it out of Pokemon like the Blacephalon, things like Finny if you can afford to grab it and then discard it is something you want to do. But he gets the Welder just for the 1 energy, which well, at this point, if you had the manual attachment and you don't have another basic to manual to anyway, the Welder for 1 is fine here, especially if he's holding enough fire where he wants to hold it for a knockout in upcoming turns. But we'll see what else Meng does here. Another Fiery Flint. Let's see if Christian can come up with another Marnie response where we drop all those fire energy back on the bottom of the deck. But for now, Meng is going to have that 4 fire energy in his hand, so he's definitely going to get that manual attached to Blacephalon this turn, making sure he is all ready to go to the circus and do some big damage. Gets the switch as well. Drops down another Baby Blacephalon. And he definitely has the damage in his hand. He only needs the 1 fire energy with Fireball Circus. Let's see if he gets risky and wants to try the Blazer. Nope. Takes the guaranteed knockout with Fireball Circus, discarding the 1 fire. Taking 1 prize. Christian doing a quick fire energy count. I think there's only 1 or 2 in there. 1, 2, 3 fire energy in Meng's discard. promotes the Absol here. Drops that water energy on ADP. Now you promote Absol here. I think it's kind of fine where he feels like he can sacrifice it at the moment. Now I don't know if Christian knows Meng doesn't play any catcher cards in his list, but promoting something like Absol, either forcing your opponent to knock it out or have to go around it, it's going to be very good. But he gets that another Jirachi down, gets the switch to put it in the active, and gets that Stellar Wish. Now Shrine is something that's like obviously not an irrelevant card in this matchup, so that is definitely a card Christian does not want to see off Stellar Wish. It's a card he doesn't want to grab. Grabs another switch here. Now with no escape board on Jirachi, you definitely want to have that way out. Oh no, he has the escape board in hand, so there you go. And just go straight back to the Absol after the Stellar Wish. And Intrepid Swords to finishing his turn, not hitting any Mental Energy, so no more acceleration to that Zacy in this turn. And we move on to Meng's turn. Now, he does have the powered up Blacephalon in the active. Playing another quick ball, discarding another fire energy. So there should be 4 in the discard now for Meng. 3 on the active, so that is 7 of his 13 energy on the board, or well, in play. Well, yeah. He's looking at the Dedenne. Now, the risk about playing single prize attackers and then also playing GXs in your deck, especially against something like ADP, and especially Christian's list that plays so many ways to gust up things off the bench, playing 4 custom, 3 Pokemon catcher, and a great catcher. Having to bench something like the Dedenne against ADP when you're playing a single prize deck is something you don't really want to do unless you really, really have to, because giving up like 3 prizes after an ADP GXs is something that goes against everything you want to do by playing a single prize deck. You want to give up 1 prize each turn and trade very, very efficiently against these GX decks or V decks. But he may be forced to drop to Dedenne here. He doesn't gets the Welder down. Drops Baby Blast. Now, manuals and the Denays. Ooh, another Welder. Okay, so he's down 3 Welders this game, I believe. I think he's down 3 Welders already. So, and we know from looking at his list, let's just double check. 1, 2, 4 fire. Yeah, I think 3 Welders he's down. Gets a Heat Factory, which is going to give him more draw, which is good. Now, if that Heat Factory stays in play too long, that's going to let Meng just keep drawing. Miny's not going to be an issue, assuming he hits a way to get a fire energy. But Meng having a look through his discard, seeing how many fire he's got in the discard, what he's got left to play with. Takes that Fire Crystal. He's like, nope, too much fire in the discard. Definitely need that back in my hand here to be able to make sure I can take some knockouts in these future turns. Or, well, even this turn, he needs 2 fire to kill the Absol. Maybe he didn't have the 2 fire in his hand, and that's why I need the Fire Crystal. But he takes the knockout there on the Absol with Fireball Circus. Discarding 2 fire. Christian smashes that Metal Energy down on an ADP. Drops the Shrine. And the Big Charm. There we see the Big Charm come into play. That's going to force Meng to have that extra fire energy, taking the ADP's health all the way up to 310. That means he's going to need 7 fire energy to be able to knock that bad boy out. Drops the Shrine. Now you might be thinking here, why is he dropping Shrine when he's got ADP and Dedenne on the bench? Well, especially when he like just dropped Big Charm, right? I think Christian has the play in mind where we might start to see Cryogonal here. It might be something he looks to go with. Otherwise, I don't see why I guess the only reason he's dropping Shrine here is to get rid of the Heat Factory, and he believes that that's a bigger threat than the damage counters on his own Pokemon. That's the only thing I can think. Christian's reason for dropping the Shrine is just to remove the Heat Factory, which is going to be a lot of Meng's draw, especially now that Christian's seen he's got 3 Welders, and that Meng's got 3 Welders in the discard. So we'll see as the action slows down a little bit, which is good, and I get a bit of time to catch my breath. I tell you, it is when you got people like Christian who play calculated but fast, Uh, Definitely reminds me of someone like Daniel Altavilla, who plays super, super fast, trying to keep up with all his actions, commentate it, and get your points across. Whew. I can only give praise to everyone who's had to cover any Daniel Davila matches. But we see the Absol dropped, and the instant 3 damage, the 3 fire discarded to Fireball Circus, that to Dene. And we see Meng down to 2 prizes. Christian counting up that fire energy again, always wants to know what's possible from Meng damage-wise before he decides what he's going to attack with. And we see a quick ball here. Meng on 2 prizes. He moves that Cryogonal to the front of his deck, and here it hits the board. And that spinner to go find that second water. Now you'll find in most ADP lists, people will happily discard the second water once they've got one attached to the ADP, but definitely not Christian's list. He definitely wants that second water in case he ever has to go into Cryogonal, and this is that case. And now we see the custom catcher on the Blacephala with no energy. Trapping that bad boy in the active. With 3 welders gone, it's going to be very hard to power that up. See the Stellar Wish from Christian. Now, is this he grabs the research. Okay. Check his how many cards in his hand. Round 12, I believe. And we saw the big charm in there. Now, if we drop a big charm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, about 11 or 12 cards, I think. Chooses not to grab anything off the energy spinner. Just playing out cards. Just in case he... Well, he doesn't need it in his hand because most Baby Cephalon lists don't play Marnie or a way to disrupt your opponent. But still always good practice to play cards that know you're not going to need. He hits that big charm, giving that Cryogonal 100 HP, I believe. I think it starts with 70. Bit tough to see on the screen, but I think it's got 70 HP, so bumping it up to 100. And we see that Frozen Lock attack. Now, obviously, the extra 30 of ADP is the reason it's doing 80 plus obviously weakness, so 40 times 2 into 80. And cannot play any items, and Meng just draws and passes. Making sure we're getting that shrine damage down. It's going to be very relevant. Now we're just making sure the shrine tick damage is here. There we go. Making sure all the numbers are right. Obviously math very important in this game. And Christian literally draws and frozen locks for the knockout. Takes those 2 prizes. You see Meng promote Jirachi. Thinking about it? Committing? Nope. Like a good chess player, hasn't taken his hand off the piece yet. And decides to put Jirachi in the active anyway. Alright, so he draws for the turn now. He cannot play any items under Frozen Lock. It is exactly like Toad. Plays down that Oricoro. Has the ability to dance the tribute. Or dance of tribute, sorry. I'm sure Jennifer Lawrence would be very happy about a dance about her. But draws those 3 cards. Draw 3 cards if you had a Pokemon knocked out in your opponent's previous turn. So he draws that 3. Did he not Stellar Wish that turn? That's okay. So Christian working out his options here. What can he do? He doesn't have another attacking threat powered up just yet. Outside of this Cryogonal. Here we go for the Great Catcher. He's going to grab that Dedenne, I reckon. Yeah, already got that damage ticking on it from Shrine. Now, you got to be very careful with your math here, because if the Dedenne dies to the Shrine, Christian's not going to be able to take those extra prizes, because it clearly states that you need to knock out a Pokemon with damage from an attack. Now, if Shrine takes the knockout, obviously it's not damage from an attack, so he's not going to meet that condition to take the extra prize cards, but he just Frozen Locks the Dedenne. Now, Meng hasn't done anything, and just has to pass, unfortunately. Now you're seeing the power of this Cryogonal, taking the knockout on the Dedenne. Christian taking those 3 prizes. He has 1 card left in deck. Now, he doesn't have an attacker here. It's going to be 2 turns to kill with Cryogonal. We see Dance of Tribute again. From Meng. Looking at so many cards in his hand. but they're probably all items realistically. Like, let's be honest. Like, Blacephalon, very item reliant. Corogano doing its job against the item heavy and item reliant deck. Look at that mood lighting we have created here, going down to the final turns of this game at Perth Town Hall. And we see the draw. The double Metal Sword smashes them down, powers up that Zacian. We're going to see a switch into the active, and that is game for Christian. Taking out game 2. That is it here for this top 4 match. Christian Hasbani has defeated Meng. And we'll move on to the top 2. Moving on to his first regional final. Congratulations to Christian for that achievement. Commiserations to Meng. Unfortunately, in game 1, his deck just did not want to play ball. In game 2, worked out fine. His deck got up and running. We got attachments to Blacephalon. We opened Jirachi. He was doing everything he wanted to do. And then came Cryogonal. Cryogonal did its job. It frozen locked his opponent Meng out of items. Christian took 5 prizes with the Cryogonal, knocking out a Baby Blacephalon and a Dedenne with the help of Shrine of Punishment. And right there, ladies and gentlemen, you saw why that card is included by Christian. Along with the big charms, just making things that little bit harder to knock out. And then finish the game with that Zacian V, one of the most popular and arguably the best card from the new Sword and Shield set. So I hope you guys enjoyed that top 4 game. We have another top 4 match coming up shortly. And I hope you join us soon.